It is a historic day in college football once again. And I don't mean to, I don't know, bloviate, Monty. I don't mean to wax on with big terms or dramatic verbiage. Today's a day that history is likely going to change college football. Today's a day that we will remember as the day that college football potentially changed forever. Because not only did we get history yesterday as the college football playoff moved to a 5-7 format, as we so succinctly told you it would.
Yay!
This was always the eventual outcome. But here's the truth. Whoa.
Hey, Monty.
Whoa.
Monty.
Whoa.
Bro.
Whoa.
Redos.
Monty, you got a huge head, boy.
Bro.
Hey, but there it is. All right, let's go here. Good to see you, finally. So whole head in frame.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, yesterday with the 5-7 model, nobody was surprised by that. Today's the day that we could see a power play, and that power play is going to happen in the form of the SEC and the Big-10 going to the College Football Management Committee meeting and demanding more spots in the college football playoff and more money for participation in the college football playoff. And if they don't get it, the obvious looming threat is that they will quickly expedite a God tier. Because remember, we don't have an agreement in place where everybody's locked into these contracts. We don't have that yet at this point. Is that coming? I believe it is. Will the SEC and the Big-10 get more spots in the college football playoff? I believe that they will, and I don't think it's even going to be much of a fight. Is that just? We're going to talk about that in a minute. But remember what today is. Today is the day that potentially college football changes forever. And whether that is a God tier being created, whether that is the Big-10 and the SEC successfully executing a power grab, today the game is going to change. And Jake, I don't necessarily believe it's for the better.
Yeah, to me, I look at this and I say this is just the nature of business. This is how things get done. I mean, whether you're looking at college football or you're looking at any other type of business opportunity, those who have the power are going to decide their own fate. And I think, the way you get power in college football is you win. You are present. You're in the conversation every year. And the Big-10 and the SEC have been the two conferences that are most regularly in the college football playoff when it's all said and done. And yeah, it's great that we expanded the college football playoff and we've got a 5-7 model. But the reality of the situation is that doesn't change the fact that the SEC and the Big-10 are probably going to be the two that are in the championship game. And because of that, that gives you control. That gives you power. And so to me, yeah, I do think that, if you do not approve these two conferences getting more money, getting more opportunity, getting what they would call their fair portion of the pie, if you will, they're going to create their own way to get their fair share of the pie. And I think it's just, and I know a lot of people probably in Big 12 country or ACC land are going to be all pissed off about this, right? They're going to say, hey, TCU was there, or we've had other teams that have been there once in 8 years now, or whatever it's been. And the problem with that is that you can't be there once and then not even really be in a New Year's Six Bowl the next year. That doesn't work.
Well, I also think this goes back to what happened yesterday in the 5-7. I think this was a fait accompli. I think we've known for months and months that a 5-7 was coming. I think it is why so many teams bailed, or partially why so many teams bailed on the Pac-12, because they knew there was no financial future in it. I think what this is with the 5-7 is the only opportunity the Big-10 and the SEC see in the near future to grab more spots and to grab more cash, because that's really what this is all about now. It's about who makes the most money and who has the most access. And one of the things we've talked about on a regular basis is this idea of Notre Dame being in a precarious spot. And has Notre Dame's road gotten steeper? Has it become more difficult for Notre Dame to win a championship? It absolutely has. If the SEC and the Big-10 end up winning this power grab today, I don't think there's any doubt it puts more leverage on Notre Dame to join a conference. I think that the parameters we've talked about, if Notre Dame can't make more money, if Notre Dame doesn't have access to a national championship, if Notre Dame doesn't have a TV deal, well, now they've got really two of those three. They've got access to a championship and they've got a TV deal, but what's the issue? They're limited in their financial scope now if this happens today. Because let's not forget, the 5-7 does one thing very critically that most people don't like. It keeps the ability to win a national championship in the centers of college football power. It gives the Power Four conferences, whether you look at them that way or not, it almost doesn't matter. But it gives the ACC, the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC an auto bid for a spot to win a national championship. Well, if you're Notre Dame, you're not in one of those Power Four conferences. You are an independent. So for the first time, and especially if this goes through, if the Big 10 and the SEC are successful at grabbing more spots and grabbing more money, Notre Dame is going to feel pressure to join a conference. Because as it is today, they've got to win. I believe it would be 4 games in a row to win a national championship. Does Alabama, does Ohio State, does Georgia, does Oregon or USC have to win 4 straight games to win a national championship?
No,
they don't. Because if they win their conference, they automatically get a bye. So there's 1 game down, right? You can see the writing on the wall here. The centers of power in college football are changing. And the SEC and the Big 10 are going to power grab as much as they can. And this idea, and I think this is a really, really important conversation, this idea that the SEC and the Big 10 want to end the NCAA, that's the last thing that they're concerned about. That's not at all what this is about. And I can only tell you so many times, all the SEC and the Big 10 care about is making more money and putting more of their teams in the college football playoff. We've talked about this for months and months. They know that if they end the NCAA, the idea of a national game of college football comes to an end. The idea that you would have the ability to crown a singular champion who without doubt is the best team in college football comes to an end the moment that the NCAA dies, which is why you haven't heard 2 words from Greg Sankey about ending the NCAA, which is why the new boy, Tony Petitti, has only talked openly and loudly and to anybody that will listen that the NCAA is an important body when it comes to college athletics.
Facts.
They're not interested in ending the NCAA. They're interested in controlling the college football playoff because that's where the real money is. And I also think with this 5-7 vote yesterday, did anybody see what George Kliavkoff's former boss said? Kirk Schultz not only fired George Kliavkoff, replaced him with Commissioner Gould, a historic hire, but then rolled over and voted for the 5-7. And what did he say? We were never going to stand in the way or fight to prevent a 5-7 model. And why did he say that? Because he understands there's only one route to the college football playoff if you're not in the P4. And that is more at-large bids. And that's why today becomes so historic. Because if the Big 10 and if the SEC are able to pull off this power grab, there's only one of 2 things that happens. The G5 is completely dead in the water, or this thing's going to go to 16 or 24. That's it. Those are the only avenues. And I think that ultimately is what the Big 10 and the SEC are after. They are after expanding the college football playoff because they know that once they are the bully on the block, they'll always be the bully on the block. And if they get more spots now, they're going to get more spots later. And if they have to wait 3 years to get more spots, I don't think they care. But what is very clear is the SEC and the Big 10 are going to get more money and they are going to get more power. And I think that starts today. And I think today, again, not to use big words, and today is another historic day. And I feel like we've said that almost monthly for the last couple of months with all these decisions, all these lawsuits. And I see all the Florida State fans in the comments section yesterday trying desperately to compare themselves to, one guy was going on, and what it really was multiple guys,
right,
going on and on about how, oh, well, hey, Monty, Florida State is no different than OU in Texas leaving the Big 12. God damn it.
Right.
Well, the only difference is that OU in Texas, one, paid to leave early, but two, were leaving when the grant of rights ended. And when they didn't want to wait that long, they paid to leave early. The grant of rights isn't ending in the ACC. The other difference is Florida State doesn't have any power.
No, because they don't win.
Florida State doesn't have the pull that Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti have, because Tony Petitti, whether you think they're legit or not, he's got the national champion, and it wasn't close. Michigan kicked the crap out of everybody this year. So he's got the hammer. And Greg Sankey's the commissioner of the best football product in the country in the SEC. So he's got the hammer. Can Brett Yormark walk into the meeting today and be like, hey, man, we want more spots and more power. We want more money. And if you don't give it to us.
You and what college football playoff team?
If you don't give it to us. What am I going to do here? I'm going to go hide at Rucker Park. The Big 12 has no juice.
Yeah.
Do you think you think the ACC's walking in and being like, I want more spots and more money. God damn it. We're not going to give it to you. Fine. Then we'll keep fighting FSU in court. What are they going to do? If the SEC and the Big 10, who are in lockstep and have this alliance, they walk into that meeting today and they're like, yeah, each of us gets another spot in the playoff, and we want a 25% bump in college football playoff revenue.
It is what it is.
What are you going to do about it?
Well, now what?
Yeah.
Right? Now what?
We're in a control position.
Well, what if we're not? No, we said no. Okay. Then we're going to take the best of you sitting at this table, because let's be honest. If Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti call Brett Yormark and say, hey, we want to form a God tier, you guys in or you out? You think Brett's saying no to that? You think he's saying no to that? Because I'm telling you now, the next phone call to form a God tier doesn't go to Charlotte. It goes to Dallas. Well, at the Omni Hotel, really.
Right.
But I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
It goes to the Big 12. It doesn't go to the ACC.
Yep.
Because the Big 12, I still maintain, and I guess we can argue hyperbole over this.
Right.
I still maintain the Big 12 is the second best conference in college football. I am not. The Big 10 has the money, and that ultimately at the end of the day is what matters. But we can all sit here and pretend to know the bottom line is, on the field, the Big 12 was a better product than the Big 10 last year.
Yeah, and I think that changes this year. That's the problem.
I think that changes too.
That's the problem.
But if Utah makes the college football playoff, if you can get two teams in those 7 at-large bids, we're having a different discussion.
Is it expected Utah is going to go to the college football playoff?
I expect Utah to be the hammer in the Big 12.
Because everybody's pretty much saying they're the best team now in the Big 12. And I know little Monty over here doesn't watch football. We don't know anything about anything.
Monty, do you even watch football, boy?
We don't watch Jazz games. We don't know what we're talking about. And,
hey, Monty, you ought to pay attention.
I'm still waiting for the $400 million check that we were told the Pac-12 was going to get. That's never coming and never was going to.
Monty, they're going to Kirk Schultz. That was one of the small victories deep inside my loins yesterday. When the 5-7 was announced, I said deep inside my loins. You didn't even have a reaction.
I wasn't sure what to say there. I wanted to allow you to keep going.
I used the words loin, and you didn't even have. Okay,
his cock.
One of the small victories deep inside my loins yesterday,
right,
macaque,
was when the 5-7 was announced, and I got a DM from an old friend who will remain anonymous
via social media,
congratulating me.
Oh.
Because in October, when we told you, hey, it's very clear 5-7's coming because the Pac-12 is not going to be recognized and they won't be paid on par, and they're not going to get whatever the fine folks who run, Unlocked on Big 12 were saying about $600 million, ESPN and the money and UFOs and shit.
Yeah.
It was never happening.
Yeah.
It was never happening.
So, just thought we'd point that out. I know that the folks over there on certain channels are, putting out videos that might include our name in the title and doing
which is amazing.
So hey, you're welcome. You can make money off us. That's fine. That's fine. But we'll take our victory lap. That's cool.
Are the Big-10 and the SEC worth more money in more spots?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, how are they not?
You think they are?
Yeah, I mean, you're the most dominant football conferences. I mean, top to bottom, is the Big 12 more quality? Like from team one to all the way down? Like, are they more quality? Yeah, probably in totality. Yeah. But again, I think that changes this year because you've added so much quality to your conference if you're Tony Petitti. So now if you're the Big 12, you got to kind of find your way to be friends with the big boys. And I'm not quite sure what that looks like yet. I mean, obviously, if a God tier were to play out, the Big 12 will have representation, I'm sure. But that doesn't change the fact that you're not some college football playoff juggernaut, man. Like, with all due respect, you're just not.
I think this is a huge conversation, because I do happen to be in the and I know it's a minority at this point. I do happen to be in a minority that believes that they're not worth more money. They're not. I think what's worth more money is what's best for college football. I think there are two conversations here. Is the SEC the best conference in college football? It is. We need to stop lumping the Big-10 into this conversation about what the best quality product in college football and basketball is. Because if we're doing that conversation, the Big-10 has no place in it. Because the Big-10 is not the best on the field or the court. Let's just put that to bed right now. The SEC, that's a different story. Good, not elite, but really good basketball product. Elite, the best in the business in college football. Hands down. I don't think it's close. Is the SEC on its own worth another college football spot and another college football playoff spot and more money? Yes. But here's the thing. They're already going to get that. They're already Lane Train in, Georgia in, Bama even after Nick Saban in.
Yeah.
Right. You look at the depth that is coming in the SEC, they're in. They're already going to control that. The issue now becomes for the Big-10, USC, Washington, and Oregon have to perform because Michigan's going to be down here for some period of time. And I think that Penn State is anything but a lock now in this new world of the college football playoff. I think you're looking in the Big-10, the Ohio State, they're going to be in every single year. What Ryan Day, a la Lloyd Carr, did this year to build that staff and to bring in that talent, they're going to be in for the next 3 years. I don't think there's any question about that. But who beyond them is a lock? Is Oregon a lock? I think they are. Is USC and Lincoln Riley a lock?
You can't say they're a lock.
I would agree. I don't know that you can say that Lincoln Riley and USC are a lock at this point. I think he's got some proving to do.
He does. And I think the problem with the question of, hey, are the SEC and the Big-10, worth more, is that obviously what you said about the Big-10 is true, right? The Big-10 has been a two-team conference for some time, but the problem is, even with that being the case, they've still been in the college football playoff way more than the ACC
but
and the
simply
Big 12.
But here's the thing. It's been simply and Michigan.
Yeah.
And now Michigan, beyond the fact that their roster is going to turn over by 70%, Sharon Moore is going to be your head coach with a brand new staff, and the core of that staff left with Jimmy.
Right. They're going to go through it. There's no doubt.
Yeah. They're going to be down.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt that you have to wonder if they're one of the top 12 teams. And we haven't even discussed implementing NCAA sanctions on that program.
Yeah. I don't even, they have to prove they're one of the top 12 teams.
I think that's the case.
Yeah.
I think Washington with Jed Fish, and I love Jed Fish. He's got to prove he's one of the 12 best teams in the country, especially in that conference, because I don't see Jed Fish's Washington Huskies routinely beating the Oregon Ducks with Dan Lanning and company in the restock that he did.
I think you're Ohio State, Oregon, and everybody else.
I think you're SC. Monty, you're an SC homer.
I'm not doing that.
Well, I think with the talent that he's got there, and I think Lincoln has proven that he is routinely at the top of college football until the biggest games, which means he'll get into the college football playoff. I don't know that he'll win it.
Is this Big Ten better than last year's Pac-12?
No, it's not.
Okay, well then he's got a better chance.
I don't believe that
I
it's.
mean,
I
you
don't.
know,
I don't.
He
He
doesn't have the only great defense in that conference on paper is Oregon right now. Ohio State's got a good defense.
Ohio State's going to be very good.
But Oregon's the most physical, beat your ass defense in that conference right now.
I would agree. And I just don't know that Washington can make that claim. I think offensively, it's going to be a pretty good show in the Big Ten.
I think the other thing we got to remember is the Big Ten After Dark is going to start too. We can't forget that portion of the situation, right? So they're going to be getting
and SC and Oregon are going to have to travel.
Yeah, and so when you look at travel implications, you look at the TV schedule, you look at how all that impacts a football game. I mean, again, USC's not going to have to go and play Washington State on a Friday night anymore, or Oregon State on a Friday night anymore, obviously. But that doesn't mean that USC all of a sudden with a new quarterback and a new situation is just going to roll out. I agree with what I've always said. Lincoln Riley will always have a gunslinger back there that can go out and win you a ball game. But I'm curious what his take on this season will be, because there was a lot of speculation. Hey, is Lincoln going to look at NFL jobs? Is Lincoln going to do this? Is he going to do that? It's been very quiet at USC, in my opinion. You haven't really heard a whole lot.
Justifiably so. But here's the question I would ask you. September 21st, USC, Ann Arbor, Michigan, the Big House.
Should be a win.
That should be a win for USC. We're going to find out that. That's the day I would think we would find out who's who and what's what with Michigan and USC.
I am inclined to think, though, even with everything Sharon's got to deal with at Michigan, right? All the turnover, everything that's going on. I'm still inclined to think that Michigan is still a gritty, tough-ass team.
Okay.
I still think that personality will not be lost on whatever this new team looks like. But, yeah, I would, on paper, expect Lincoln Riley to be able to go in there and get a win.
Yeah, I think it's a huge question, and I am very curious to see how all that plays out. Let's get your thoughts in here on the Monty Show. Always presented by our good friends at Prize Picks, prizepicks.com. Download the Prize Picks app. They are our preferred daily fantasy partner. And really, once you get into it, you're going to realize Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy partner where you can get a push out of 3 NHL netminders last night. Sorokin, you son of a biscuit. One more save. You couldn't give him up on one more save. Pretty difficult to push. I love playing Prize Picks. I love the NBA. I think the NBA on Prize Picks with spring training. By the way, big round of applause. Spring training. Everybody's in. Games are starting. Chicago Cubs season ticket holder right here. Oh, look at that. In stereo. Chicago Cubs season ticket holder will be in Mesa in 3 weeks. Cannot wait.
You bringing your Cody Bellinger jersey, or what are we doing here?
Anyways, download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty to get 100% deposit matching.
Reset.
See, that's just such a dick thing to say. You and I both know that the Ricketts don't spend money.
Those cheap ass.
Tom Ricketts, real quick. Tom Ricketts, the owner of the Cubs the other day, open spring training with his, let's meet with the owner shit.
Oh, everything is great, man.
And what did he say? Oh, we haven't even started negotiating with Cody Bellinger. You don't say, you cheap
douche.
You want to be behind Tom Ricketts? No, I'm not going to say it. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty to get 100% deposit matching up to $100. You put in 50, they'll give you 50 more. You can play for a lifetime on Prize Picks on a Hyundai. Put in $10. You can play for a lifetime with $20 at Prize Picks. You put in 10, they'll give you 10. You're playing with 20 at prizepicks.com. Download the Prize Picks app on your telephonic device.
What do you hyenas have to say today? You going to have a good day in the comment section, or are you going to have one of those days?
Zesty's Retro in Games, who's been a member for 11 months.
What's up, Zesty?
The spring training game starts soon. Who's excited? This guy right here.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah.
I am super stoked for baseball. Mountain Mama, take me out. Good morning. How are you? Tanner Plummer was first in, but Tanner, thanks for not hitting the like button. You going to hit the like button eventually?
No.
We had 4,000 views on the show yesterday, and we got like 12 likes. Let's go.
Thanks,
Hit the like button. We're at about 500 views already this morning. Only 31 likes. There's 120 of you here. Hit the like. Don't make me start giving away Xboxes.
Yeah.
Please. Daka to Tubbs. Good to see you, my friend. He says he's the first like. OG Gary. 5-7 means Notre Dame can only get as high as 6. Sucks for Notre Dame. Yeah. I guess so.
Notre Dame, our mother.
Gary, I think it's a really interesting point, as I mentioned earlier.
Isn't that the position Notre Dame's always been in? I mean, you
always
were like you're an independent. That's the position you're in. So yeah, cool. You don't get the bye week for being an auto qualifier, but again, you were always going to have to grind your way through it, and that's what makes their seasons special when they win. Now, this year, do you get a better version of Notre Dame because of this process?
Well,
I don't know. You better.
We don't have the right coach in South Bend, and I say we because they call me Uncle Monty. I'm on the roster too. I'm a special teams captain. Anyway, the point is, we at Notre Dame don't have the right head coach.
Right.
Can't count to 11. You can't be the head coach at Notre Dame. No, I am not going to forgive you. Mad Cat, good morning to you. Dakota says maybe Notre Dame should get off their gold-plated throne, not solid gold, and join a conference then. I think if this SEC Big-10 power play happens, and let's say you only get 5 at-large bids, Notre Dame's almost got no choice because you have one bad week and you're out of the college football playoff.
Yeah.
You're out of the college football playoff because at that point, you have 7 spots spoken for in 5 at-large bids.
Yes.
And that doesn't even begin to talk about where the G5 is going to go here. And I think if you're Notre Dame at that point, you have to join a conference. You have to change things. And does that mean that Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director at Notre Dame,
Right.
does that mean that he finally moves to the category of let's destroy the ACC so I can join the Big Ten? Right? Is that what that means?
Could be.
I think there's a conversation there. Big Blue Horses. Hello. Mr. Ohio. Hello. Tanner Plummer. Jake is getting hitched. When's the wedding? Never. Speaking of Jake getting hitched, look, it's James, Oak State James.
Wow. Nice of you to actually join the program, man.
Hi, this is James. Welcome back.
Good morning. James says, hit the like button. We want the show to grow 100K subs by the end of 2024. By the end of 2024, by the end of July, by the end of June.
Yeah.
Mike Smith, give us a warning before you hit those close-up shots. Too early for that stuff. Okay.
No redos.
Dakota, Missouri didn't ask to be part of the God tier, but it's a sacrifice we're willing to make.
Oh, you're willing to make it. I see. Okay.
You're so giving. Mr. Ohio, Mr. Ohio. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Truth be told, it's
100%.
all about the Benjamin. There's no doubt
way
about
around it.
Tumasta. Wow, Tumasta is back. Bunch of realignment revisionism. Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, how is it revisionism?
I think you look at what the Big Ten's trying to do. I think you look at what the SEC is trying to do. They both added some of the crown jewels of realignment. You get OU in Texas, you're a better brand now. You get in the Big Ten, Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA. You add that to your conference. How does the Big 12 adding the four corner schools? Well, Arizona doesn't really have an athletic department anymore.
Yeah, Gary, how you doing, bud?
Gary, sorry, bud. Kenny Dillingham, we coming in like 5
today would be shitty.
in like 5 years.
Right.
Right. But Dion certainly is on the way up. Jutta is certainly, Kyle Whittingham is, I think, inarguably the most undisrespected, lack of respect coach in the game of college football. I think he's a top 5 head coach right now today. I think he's the best coach in the old Pac-12. And I think arguably he's the best coach in the new Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're better, but are you national championship better? Maybe that's a lesson we learned 2 years ago out of TCU. Sure you are. You got to go achieve and you got to go win games. But sure you are.
Yeah.
Is Kyle Whittingham going to have one of the best defenses in the country? I don't have to wonder about that because they will. Is Cam Rising going to be healthy? I don't know. Is Brent Keithy going to be healthy? I don't know. Those are things we can wonder about.
Yeah.
Will Witt have a defense? Yeah, absolutely. Will he take a 5 foot tall fullback and make him one of the best safeties in the Big 12, he will. That's what he does.
Yeah.
I have no doubt about it. That's who Utah is. Utah puts out championship caliber defenses. Mark it
That's
down.
what they do.
You're going to struggle to score against Utah. Utah. It is what it is. Dakota, man, I can imagine a college football playoff game being played in Lawrence.
Okay, hold on.
No.
Let's see.
No,
okay.
you can't.
All right, go ahead.
With Mizzou at large playing Big 12 champ Bird School U at it's Burrowhead Stadium, please. Because their stadium isn't done. Border War 2008 V2. Okay, let me ask you this, Dakota. How far does Mizzou fall this year? Because you're not having the same year you had last year.
Nope.
A lot.
You're not going 62-12 this year. I think that was your record last year. I could be wrong.
Right.
You look at the new SEC without divisions, and I think you're going to have a tough time in that there SEC because you're 6-2 last year in conference. I would think Tennessee is going to be better than 4-4, although I would think at some point Florida is going to make a coaching change. Maybe never. I would think at some point Vandy will win a conference game.
Right.
But you look at what was the Old West, Bama, Ole Miss, LSU. Those are all good football teams that are going to the playoff. They are. One of them is going to win the conference championship or go to the college football playoff. Because here's the other thing. That Bama-Georgia thing last year, that's never going to happen again. In that scenario, Bama and Georgia are both in.
Yeah.
Georgia ain't missing the college football playoff again. I can guarantee you that's not happening.
Nope.
So, let's see. Leave immaculate alone. Who said anything about immaculate? Well, Jake did. I didn't.
So,
beyond being completely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering. So we got called, but then when we're right, we're not supposed to say anything. Just
Yeah.
Just asking for a friend.
We're never right. OG Gary, I would agree that 12 is the second best. However, this year onwards, 12 is probably third. Can't ignore depth of Michigan. Michigan does not have depth right now.
No.
They between what they lost in the draft, which was pretty much all of their leadership. I think you look at some of the wide receiver performances they got during the playoff, that's gone. You don't recover, and you still have not gotten penalized, which is going to cripple your depth. So I would disagree that that Michigan can't or has depth. The Oregon, USC, Washington, Penn State in this Big-10 is not one of the top 12 teams in the country.
No.
That's a 4-loss, 5-loss Penn State team. They're not better than SC. They're not, in my opinion, they're not even on the same God tier as Oregon.
Yeah, I think the question around Washington's a really good one, though. Like,
yes.
What Washington's going to be. I mean, I think we have no idea what that team's going to look like.
Who and what is Jed Fish?
Yeah.
I think that's a huge question. That is a huge question. Elaine Tran, I'm with Monty, and I'm with Elaine.
Yeah, you guys are one together.
Mr. Ohio, none of this would ever happen if it wasn't for that damn Herb Street.
Oh, that's what it is.
And
so
those helmets.
Angle.
Monty, put those helmets on the bookshelf, boy.
They colluded.
Did you see the colors in the Super Bowl logo?
That's the untrained eye.
Nice try.
Elaine Tran, Big 12 is fun to watch in football and basketball. Well, not last night in Provo. It wasn't fun to be a Baylor fan. Anybody see the Brigham?
How
about Brigham?
Cougar Tails.
How about Brigham hitting shots down the stretch to not beat Baylor, put Baylor away?
Yeah.
Put Baylor away. BYU basketball. Telling you, man, that's not the easy out they were in the WCC.
The
W. Let's see. Ferris Khan.
Oh, this should be good.
I'm giving you a shot. Lumping in basketball and football does not apply. Football is massive. Basketball is just a 3-week TV event. See?
This is the dumbass stuff you say, dude.
And I don't know how to overcome this. You're at a football school at Michigan. Ferris is a Michigan fan. You're at a football school where basketball is not very good right now. That doesn't mean that basketball, which in the Big-10 has been horrendous for how long now? Basketball is a revenue generator. Ask San Diego State. San Diego. By the way, the San Diego.
Yeah, the San Diego's there. Just want to point that out again.
San Diego State. Ask FAU. That basketball. I mean, basketball is just a 3-week TV event every year.
Oh.
Tell that to their sold-out crowds. Tell that to how many Cougar Tails were sold last night in Provo. Are you going to tell me that basketball at BYU is a 3-week TV event every year? It's not. I don't know. And Ferris, I think you're probably just trolling, but it is what it is. Elaine Tramp, BYU is scary. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. It is going to be incredible. I think if BYU can make a run to the state of Utah is a better basketball state when BYU is in the tournament.
Yeah.
Because it just engages a fan base. And by the way, up on the hill, it's not like Utah sucks out loud anymore. I mean, it is. And you look at the Utah women's program. I mean, I think people don't recognize. You look at the Utah women's softball program going to the College World Series last year. You look at the absolute special performances you're getting out of Utah women's basketball, individually and as a team. And you look at the run they made last year. Utah athletics is an absolute behemoth. Look at their gymnastics program. Look at their baseball program finally is rising. You look at men's basketball. You look at football. Like they're moving. Utah is moving. And they are. The idea that college basketball doesn't matter just tells me exactly what you need to know about Ferris. It's wild. Mad Cat, when this happens, buckle up. The next round of realignment is going to be insane. I think you look at the ACC situation. Everybody's focused on the ACC and Florida State. And you should be, because that will be that's like the hotel room door with that little, metal hook lock thing.
Right.
And then
the doorstop.
Jimmy the criminal just kicks the door down when you open it a crack.
Right.
That's what Florida State's going to do. Because I think Florida State's going to negotiate a buyout. I can't remember the exact terminology, but a negotiated separation is what it was described to me as. And that is going to open the floodgates. Because there's no need anymore to have 4 conferences or there's going to be a God tier, a second tier, and then everybody else. Yeah. And that everybody else tier is going to play for their own championship. It is what it is.
It's pretty easy.
That's where the G5's going.
Pretty straightforward.
That's where it's going. And we can all joke about, relegation. I don't know if relegation ever happens. I don't think it's in our lifetime. That's just my opinion. D-Rock Irish. You'll see 3-4 teams from the Big-10 and 3-4 teams from the SEC in the playoff. Perhaps. Maybe. I don't know. I think it's going to be very difficult for the Big-10 to get 3 or 4 teams in.
Yeah, it's a lot.
For that league, that's a lot.
Yeah.
For the SEC, I mean, I think it depends. Do you guys believe in Lane Kiffin? I don't know how you know based on what he's done. And, well, I was just going to say, if you look at Lane Kiffin, the reason that he's so critical is because Ole Miss, I think, represents a point of demarcation, right? Is Ole Miss routinely better than LSU? They're not. So I'm going to move, good old Southern boy, Brian Kelly, and say that Bama, LSU, and Ole Miss are in every year. They're that good, right? I'm going to look at Georgia, and I'm going to say they're in every year. And with all due respect to Dakota and every other Mizzou fan, Missouri's a once every 5-year team.
Yeah, next question.
Okay. What about the Big-10? Ohio State's in every year.
Yep.
Michigan's going to go through this down period. I think they're going to quickly rebound as soon as their sanctions are done. So let's say for the next 5 years, Michigan gets in once. Okay. Ohio State's in every single year.
Yeah.
Who else in? Oregon is in every single year.
You got to think SC's in 1 or 2 times in the next 5 years.
USC gets in every year. Other than that, I don't think you can say that about Washington. You can't say that about Pedo State. I don't know who else you...
Dude.
What?
It's so casual now. Pedo State.
They want to name the field after Joe Paterno.
Dude.
Grampy Two Knuckles does not deserve. I'm sorry. Joe Paterno facilitated, in my opinion, the assaults and the abuse that happened at Penn State. And I don't even think it's my opinion. The facts, you look at the facts of that, you should not put old man thick Coke bottle glasses on a field. There's no reason to do that. Yet they want to do that. The great facilitator, as I like to call him.
Right.
At Pedo State. Why not name it the Sandusky Football Complex with Joe Paterno Field? Are we too much? Apparently not at Pedo State.
Yeah.
Penn State does not get in every year. They don't. If you look at the Big-10, it has for the last decade been Ohio State and Michigan. And now Michigan's going to be down for a period, and Ohio State's going to dominate the league.
So what we're really saying is there's only going to be 2 or 3 real spots in this playoff.
I would agree with that. I think there is going to be 2 spots in the Big-10 that go to Oregon and then I think we'll see what USC is. But I have to think 4 out of 5 years USC is going. 4 out of 5 years, Oregon, Ohio State, down the road, Michigan. 4 out of 5 years they're going to the playoff.
But what I'm saying is that, so obviously, let's just for conversation's sake say Ohio State's got the auto qualifier for winning the conference. Bama or Georgia is going to get that auto qualifier. Who the hell knows? Let's say Utah gets that auto qualifier.
And Florida State.
In Florida State. Okay, so those are auto qualifiers. And then we're going to add 2 more from the SEC, 2 more from the Big-10, and 2 more from the Big-12.
I think you're looking at
2 true at-large spots.
Because I don't think you can go with the AP poll. One, I think it's a complete and absolute embarrassment. That's just me. If we go with the college football playoff, right? I think if you go with Washington, I'm not putting them there every year. Texas with Sark, as long as Sark is there, I'm putting Texas in every year.
Yes.
Right? Georgia's in every year. Bama's in every year. Florida State, I don't believe, is in every year. I think Oregon, 4 out of 5 years. I think you're getting 2 from the Big-10 every year. I think you're getting 3 from the SEC every year. I think you're probably going to get another one from the Big-12 because I think that the Big-12 is rising. And I happen to believe that Deion Sanders in 2 years is going to have an elite football program. He's going to be there 5 to 7 years at a minimum. And his job is to get Colorado into the college football playoff. And he's again remade his roster to a much lesser extent. And they're much better than they were last year. So I have to think that they're going to compete for a Big 12 championship because the league really, at the face of the Big 12, as much as people want to tell you the Big 12 is completely different, it's not. It's not a completely different league. And as much as I think people want to insinuate that the Big 12 is somehow so much better, is the Big 12 really, really that much better of a conference? I'm going to say it's not.
No.
Because Arizona and Arizona State bring almost nothing in football. Not right now. And if we're being honest, what are they bringing in college basketball right now? I'm going to say not a whole lot, right? So is the Big 12 really stronger? No. Is the SEC stronger with OU and Texas? What are we even talking about? Of course it is.
Yep.
Is the Big 10 better with the 4 big Pac-12 teams? Absolutely it is. I don't know. Are you better because you added Utah football? Yes, you are. Are you better because you added Colorado football? Yes, you are. But basketball-wise...
The problem is that adding Utah and Colorado is not recouping what you had in Texas and Oklahoma. That's the problem.
I would agree with that. Now, basketball,
you needed the Arizona schools to be better.
Again, basketball with where Houston is, and I think that's the only reason that Houston is just such an unbelievable win for the Big 12. Because you're number 1 or you're number 2, and you look up and down the list, Arizona's 20-5. You look at Iowa State 20-5, although that was a huge loss to Houston. You look at Kansas. You look at Baylor. How does Baylor lose to BYU? Oh, that's right, because the Big 12 is an incredible basketball league.
Yeah.
There's not an easy out on the road in the Big 12.
I think the tough part is that, if you're not going to make a ton of money in football, it has to look like this in basketball. You have to, this is why I say the Big 12 has to find find its way in terms of playing nice in the sandbox. Like, because I do think there's a clear place for the Big 12 in any college football conversation moving forward. A clear place. They are solid enough from top to bottom to make a difference in the college football playoff picture. There's just no, to me, I just don't think we could get around that. And so when you take that and you combine it with what they do in basketball, they are basketball. They control the power in basketball. And yes, the other conferences have good teams here and there, but you've got the second best team in the country in the Big 12. Like, this is not anything to play with.
And I wonder if Gonzaga being unranked, I wonder how they rebound, because they've had some big losses this year. There's no way to get around that. But here nor there. I think basketball is hugely important. I don't even know that there's much of a conversation to be had about that.
Yeah.
John Hamm, I love the show, but it is basketball. They had less than 4 four-star commits this last recruiting cycle as a conference for football. Great basketball, but it just isn't there for football. What's not there for football?
First of all, let me be the asshole that says learn how to spell the word there in your comment, please. First of all. Second of all, yeah. Are they recruiting at the level that the SEC is? Well, no, of course not. Because if the SEC can get you, you're going to go to the SEC. That's the nature of the business.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the Big 12 isn't going to have a solid season on the football field. And I do think that you're going to find a way to put another team in addition to, let's say, Utah being your conference champion. I do think that happens.
Yeah, I don't agree. Mike Smith, Monty Kiffin's baby boy.
Yeah.
He is, Mama. Remember Monty Kiffin? OG Gary, I think the SEC is good enough to get 6 in this year. You can make a solid argument for 6 teams. Georgia, horns down. See, we did Texas. LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Mizzou.
Man, why are we so hard over Mizzou, dude?
And Tennessee.
Man.
Tennessee was a 500. Went their 500 team last year. You're gonna have to prove that.
Yeah, dude. Like
Dakota Tubbs, Darth Drink, Lame Train. But yeah, Monty, Mizzou gets in every 5 years or so. We finally agree. What do you hate about Lane Train? I don't know. You know. Drew Dozer, hello. Dakota also says, I'm glad I made Pedo State Panthers casual on this show. Dude. Pedo State. I've always called them Pedo State, though. But Panthers is interesting. Missouri was a fluke. Elaine Tran chose violence this morning. Payson Cougar fan. Odds are that each team in the P4 conference championship game will have a very good chance of getting into the college football playoff. I would agree with that. Unless you're Iowa last year.
Glad you guys play defense. That's cool.
They don't play offense.
Yeah.
Zesty Retro in Game says, go Rolls.
Go Rolls.
Kansas City Rolls.
Rolls.
Does anybody watch Rolls games? Did George Brett have a good year at the plate last year? What about Frank White? You don't even know who those people are.
Zach Greinke still there?
Shut up. Steve Stepanek. His wife was a lot younger than Joe Paterno. Okay.
We're not seriously rehashing Pedo State stories.
No, we're not. James, Penn State. Who's Penn State?
Bro.
I've never heard of them.
If you, and I haven't
Is that
seen
a
the
D2
comment,
school?
if you roll out here with a Penn State Stadium comment.
Oh, you know that's what it. Pedo State Stadium is the ugliest stadium in college football.
Hi, this is James. Welcome back.
I'm so glad they're going to renovate. Why not just tear the thing down and stop playing football, which is what should have happened, decades ago.
Yeah.
Hope Sandusky's comfortable in that cell. The Sandusky Shower Complex at Paterno Playground. Easy.
Dude.
Good Lord.
Dude.
Good Lord. Good Lord. Elaine Tran, you mentioned Michigan State. I just might fall asleep. Michigan State. Jonathan Smith, it's going to take 2 years. He's as much as said so because they're just not talented. That's the biggest issue. Zesty says, how do you think the Jayhawks will be this year in basketball? I mean, they're no St. Mary's, but they'll do.
Right.
I think they're always good in. Do you mean football?
They're always competitive.
In football? They'll be fine. It's a matter of, man, who's coming to my door already?
Hey, man. You know,
coming
man, the
coming
Girl
to the-
Scouts already at the front door, man.
Who's coming to the Monty crib at this early hour? Let's see. It is raining still. Dude, what is up with all the rain in this country? I think Kansas is a tournament team. They're 21-6, I think. I mean, they're elite in basketball always, as long as, Bill Selfless is alive. Steve, if Notre Dame joins the conference, will they double dip TV rights? They will not. They cannot.
Notre Dame, our mother.
Because if they join a conference, they
Grant their rights. Oh.
thank you. Robert Fowler, Big-10 gets 3 every year. We'll see about that.